Me happy hump day, everybody. I hope everyone has had a wonderful, prosperous week. Nancy Guthrie. The family has been cleared by polygraphs, and so far there is no suspect named. How do you all feel about the family being cleared? There was a little rumbling going on pertaining to Annie's car. At one point, about 2 weeks ago, I had gotten information that her car, so obviously they did allegedly extensive dissecting of her vehicle, and she's supposed to be getting it returned to her per information from Sheriff Nanos. Also, no suspects have been named. So, how do you feel about the family being cleared by polygraphs? As most of you know, they are in a court of law. They're not used as evidence, but it is an investigative tool used by law enforcement to get an understanding of who they're dealing with, the temperament, attitude, heart rate, demeanor, weigh in. Do some of you still believe that the family is involved? Do some of you believe they are not involved? Do you believe this is a hit? Everybody has his or her opinion, their theory of who did it and why, the motive. As most of you know who watch this network, I don't believe this was a burglary. I don't believe it was a botched burglary. I believe the sole purpose of going into Nancy's home was to abduct her, because as you have heard so many times from law enforcement, there is no logical reason to take the victim from the home. There are reasons naturally, but a logical reason, you have no reason to be in there anyway. How about that? First and foremost, you have no reason to be in her house. But if it's a personal reason, it's either revenge, sexual assault, or a ransom. We've seen where the ransom has gone, which is nowhere. The other two, revenge and or sexual assault. I don't think it was a burglary. As you saw in one of my shorts I did recently, I don't believe the intent was to burglarize her home. You had all day, week to go into this lady's home. If you knew or thought she wasn't at home, why would you want to go in while she's there? Okay. Most burglaries take place during the day when people are at work, when perpetrators assume there is nobody home. That's as not to be apprehended. Why are you going in the thick of the night to go inside of this woman's home? It seems personal to me and has nothing to do with belongings, jewelry, silver. You wanted her. So whether it has to do with Nancy or her daughter, to me was personal. Now, once again, polygraphs. How do you feel about these people passing? Savannah, Annie, Cameron, and also Tommaso. What I find interesting is that you don't hear a mention of other relatives. So it leads me to believe these were the only people that law enforcement looked at, interviewed, and we also include Savannah's husband. So you got this little knit group, sister, husbands, partners, and that's it. So you mean to tell me these people didn't have any other relatives that lived in the general area that would have some type of vengeance or negative feeling towards either party in the family? Nancy, Savannah, Annie, whomever. There were no nieces. There were no nephews. No grandchildren. No distant aunts, cousins who could have a vendetta against the family. Nancy. I find that interesting. They have never mentioned anyone else related to the victim. Distant cousin, anyone else's children. We know that Savannah's children are small and they live in New York, so we can discount them. Annie allegedly has a son, don't know how old he is. Then you have to ask about Cameron's son. I would assume he's East Coast or somewhere in America as an adult. So you have to ask all these questions. Who was around this lady? Who would have a motive to remove her from her home? Those are the latest developments. No suspect ID'd. How do you feel about that? No one has been named. No one mentioned. Never they wouldn't. There's a lot of stir with Banfield bringing out her source a couple of weeks ago. As I told you all before, I did not agree with her mentioning that because it was early on during the investigation, and she should not have said a source told her that Tommaso was being looked into. He was supposed to be looked into if he allegedly was the last person seen with Nancy Guthrie. That's just common sense. But repeating it, should not have done that. Then another thing I didn't like that Banfield mentioned this week is the fact that she has a problem with Nanos putting up the cones and everything in the neighborhood to keep people from parking. Well, let's be truthful. We're now approaching week 7. Enough is enough. You don't live out there, Banfield. I don't live out there. You all don't live out there. You're not the ones coming out your door every day, seeing people walking around with spy phones, filming every house, foot, ground, tree. That's not your story. So it's easy to judge and say, oh, what's the big deal? Well, it is a big deal because one, you don't pay rent there, you're not a taxpayer, you're not paying a mortgage. So until you live on that street and you're the one trying to come out the driveway and have a peaceful day of driving out the drive, going down the street, taking in the scenery without having to dodge 50,000 different lights, who are you to complain? And that's one thing that a lot of people don't understand about reporting a story pertaining to true crime or blogging about a story. One, it isn't your story. Two, you don't live there. So when you're out there loud talking, hollering, back and forth, running up and down the street, you are disturbing the peace. Maybe in your mind you don't feel like you are, but you are a nuisance. It may be the hottest story going, the disappearance of this 84-year-old woman. But the point is, people live out there. You're not in the middle of nowhere. You're not just out in the desert filming mountains and rocks. You're standing out in front of someone's home that isn't there. And if you really just assess the situation for what it's worth, you all are really just standing out there as if Nancy Guthrie is getting ready to just come out and open the front door and say, hey, I'm back. Thanks for watching my house while I was gone. Just keeping it real. The only good thing about everyone being out there the past several weeks was the fact that the perpetrator probably wouldn't strike again and rob another neighbor's house if that was his motive. His, her, they, them. That's the only good thing. The perpetrator wouldn't try going back in the house or going out to another person's house out there in the neighborhood. But you're approaching 2 months now, so enough is enough. So Banfield, I would disagree with you about Nanos and the security of the neighborhood. People do have a right to peace and quiet. They have a right not to have the street blocked off and made into a one-way. You don't know what these people have to do, where they work, where they shop, where they're trying to go. Maybe the direction that he put the traffic into one way, that's the direction they need to go out of there. See, but that's the point. You're just sitting behind a desk with a camera and microphones trying to make your coins as well off of talking about Nancy Guthrie, but you don't live out there. And then we have these creepy crawlies who are just really about as psychotic as the perpetrator with their iPhones trying to get the scoop, the story. Enough's enough. And as you also have heard, Mr. Tommaso has spoken with someone who was outside of his home. He wants you all to leave him alone. He's been cleared. It is what it is. How long are you going to stand out there? It's the same to me. Nancy's house, Tommaso, and Annie's house, it's all the same. The name doesn't matter. It's all the same. It's a house. How long will you peep outside of these people's homes, lurk outside? To do what? And I don't want to say it's a dead story, but it's a story that is an open, ongoing, and nobody has brought forward any information viable that I know of to point towards a perpetrator. Hello, Auntie Pony. So the people deserve to have peace of mind in their home, in their neighborhood. Maybe they want to come out, take a walk the dog, walk with their friends, their neighbor, caregiver might want to walk a patient. They don't want to be seen. They don't want to be filmed. They don't want anyone to stopping them to ask a question about how do you feel about what happened to your neighbor. And I'm going to say this again. Some of you might not need to be showing yourselves because this perpetrator is still out there. All this sitting around talking with Mr. Brian Enton, it's helpful, but it's also giving the perpetrator an inside look to the people who lived around Nancy. And now you're showing your name, giving your name, excuse me, showing your face rather. You're looking out your bay window onto the street. How long do you think it'll be before the perpetrator can recognize your house? Because once again, we don't know how many people are involved, and we don't know if this creepy crawler wants to do a repeat or come back and pay a little visit to you. And that's the point I'm making about when all of it subsides and many of the people have left, which a lot of the reporters have left, he or they might want to come back and say, "Hi, I hear you've been talking about me to Brian Enton." Because you didn't seem like you were scared. You didn't seem scared. One of the women interviewed. You're not concerned. You're not worried. Well, guess what? The perpetrator's listening to all that. I think a lot of you don't. Reporters, bloggers, even the people living in Nancy's neighborhood, people out here in La La Land, some of you listening, I don't think you really understand what the hell's going on. A whole human is missing and possibly dead. So when you get on TV showing yourself, giving your name, jumping on podcasts, watching, "Oh yeah, I live behind Nancy and blah, 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 and the dog was barking and I came out, the internet stopped working." Well, the perpetrator might come back and say, "Well, let me help you with your internet service." Officially. I've already been in Nancy's house. I've already heard her taking her out and disposed of her. Let me pay you a visit. "Oh, yeah, Miss Lady, you're not scared? Okay. Maybe I'll stop by and tap on your window. See if I can make you scared." This ain't a game. See, one thing I've learned is talk is cheap. And this is no disrespect to the people who have talked to Brian Enton or any other news agent, but you live out there. We don't. We're just watching from behind our TVs, phones, computer screens. I don't live out there in Tucson. I don't live on the street where Nancy lives. I don't live in that damn neighborhood. Thank you. Okay? I deal with enough craziness living here in Knoxville, Tennessee, knowing, hey, I could just easily end up in the same situation because anything is possible. And that's what some of you all need to get a hold of up here. That thing is still walking around and you're steady talking to the news. You all are talking to the news as if he's been caught. That's what's baffling to me. He, they, them, they're still out there. And as some agents are saying, law officials, you need to check to see who has sexual assault records, burglary records, drug addicts, in and out of jail, committed similar type cases. Anybody that's have any cases involving kidnapping a girlfriend or wife, a kid, you might need to be looking into your database out there in Tucson and the surrounding area. And no matter the motive, please understand this, that no matter the motive, the behavior is deviant. It doesn't matter if someone paid this joker to go get Nancy out of the house. If a family member paid this joker to get her out of the house, unalive her, the point is the deed has been done. Stay woke now. The deed has been done. So, all in all, the motive really doesn't matter. It only matters to us because we're curious creatures. But the point is, that lady is gone. So, if you can do it once, you can do it again, no matter the motive. Whether you're directly involved with Nancy, Savannah, Annie, Tommaso, Cameron, whomever, fly by nighter, random joker, delivery driver, got some creepy shit on his mind, somebody that liked her, dated her. See, you don't know. And I keep trying to tell you, everybody has secrets. And this is not to shame Mrs. Guthrie. It's just common sense. You don't know what that old lady was doing out there in the desert. You don't know who she was talking to. You don't know who she befriended. You don't know who she met through another friend, associate, church member. You don't know if maybe they had church at one of these ladies' homes and some outsider came in as a visitor. They got to talking that, oh, yeah, Nancy's alone. Her dog just died. Her daughter's famous, blah, blah, blah. They think they can trust this person sitting around drinking tea and eating, little snack cakes, but they may have been sitting with the enemy. See, people get hurt by others known to others. Have you heard of that? Such as having a dinner party. Your friends, associates say, can I bring a +1, a +2? And you say, yeah, sure, there'll be plenty of food. But the point is, you may not know the +1 or the +2. So now you have some +2s and 3s and 4s running around your house, your yard. You don't know them from a can of paint. You don't know where they're from. You don't know their background. You don't know their temperament. And you don't know who they know. So let's say you got a nice, cushy life and you've invited your friend's family with their +1s and 5s. And now all these people are walking around looking at your estate and they're getting a glimpse of a fine life. Jealousy, animosity can set in really, really quick. And then now they leave thinking about that fine establishment they just left. And now they're telling Peter, Paul, Dick, Sue, Mary about where they just left. Oh my gosh, I just left a wonderful place on the ocean front, lakeside. Oh my gosh, they've got 6 bedrooms and a jacuzzi and a pool and blah, blah, blah. Word of mouth. You've heard it, okay? Many of you have heard it. You've said it yourselves about people you've met in life. Oh my gosh, she has a nice life. He has a nice life. Nice home, nice car. Well, word travels. So see, we don't even know who we're dealing with. We know we're dealing with somebody that's demonic. That's a given. But we don't know the perpetrator. So what I do is I lay out the possibilities of who it might be in the motive. As I said, at this point, I haven't a clue. I just know it ain't about stealing stuff. And I've heard a few people say it in some of the podcasts and news commentary, and most of them are law officials and psychiatrists and so on and so forth. A few people have said, this ain't about no burglary. He wanted her. He wanted Nancy Guthrie for whatever reason, and he got her. So whether she let him in, had a door unlocked, he jimmied a door, glass door, he got in there. And he took her out of there. And I believe it was the sole purpose to unalive her. I do believe that. I do not believe this person went in with any intent of talking to her, reasoning with her, bartering with her. Because one thing you always have to remember is what you have seen, which was blood. And that does not mean she was alive coming out. Stay woke. So I don't know where everybody keeps going on and on, or why you keep going on and on about blood means she was alive. Blood can drip and you're deceased. What planet are you from? Come on. Fresh act, fresh blood, dripping from a human being. It's going to fall, has somewhere to fall. It's not going to stay midair. This person went in with the intent to hurt this lady. And that's what I do believe. I don't believe there's no accident. They got the wrong house. You got the wrong house? Get the F out. Oh, this ain't who I'm looking for. This ain't Petey Pablo's house. Let me run out of here. See, the scene was set and we were able to get a visual. He's got a backpack on. It's full. You know, I'm digesting the same thing over and over and over. I think everybody just talking about the story, same thing over and over. He's showing you, I got a full backpack. He had a kill kit in that bag, okay? And something I heard last night on a podcast, and I'm going to go ahead and repeat it because we're far into this nonsense. Might as well throw every theory out there, okay? They could randomly come in with devious motives and scope the place out. They could do that even without thinking. Yes, very true. Ask questions, and a victim says too much. True. Friendly on the outside, but devil. Yes, very true. Thank you. One theory I heard late this morning is that this could be staged. Not that Nancy staged it, so don't misunderstand where I'm going with this, but that the person went in front of the camera playing with the bushes, perhaps to throw people off in case something's been recorded. I don't know. It's an interesting theory. Because where there's a problem is the fact that this woman didn't have a subscription and nothing is recording. So as one person was saying earlier today, everything's recording over Strategic Eyes. He was saying everything's just recording over itself like the camera's in the back. So you're only getting a photo still of the person, a thumbnail, people who are in the yard days before. You're not telling us who they are, black, white, Hispanic, tall, short, known to the victim, family members, time of day. Tell us something. Because my thing is, if you're not going to tell us anything about the photo stills, the thumbnail, what's the purpose in mentioning them? Okay? But could this have been staged? Like playing around with the Nest camera, and they already knew about the cameras. Stay woke now. Could it be they already knew about the cameras, which means they know Nancy Guthrie? So they knew that this is all that you all were going to get, law enforcement. I'm trying to say. You're just going to get me going up to the Nest camera and that's it. But one thing that's been mentioned by some retired FBI agents is that he had the light in his mouth, which saliva is in your mouth. You're touching that. You're also touching the Nest camera with the glove. He's possibly left DNA on the Nest cameras, which he's probably thrown them out or sold them or gotten rid of them. But that's why that holder needs to be touched, swiped. The rug, it should have been taken up. You should have took the rug up once you saw he used those flowers to cover the Nest camera. All that should have been taken into evidence. The rug, those leftover flowers, anything you think he touched inside with the glove, because his own DNA is now on the glove. Very good point. Some of you have been very crafty in coming up with little minute details pertaining to this case. That was in his mouth. He's touching that, pulling it in and out to mess with the camera. So he's got DNA on the gloves, and whatever he's touching from the Nest camera to inside, his DNA is on the door handles. Stay woke. Good catch. His DNA is on the door handles because he has to be able to open the doors, whether they were unlocked or not. He's still got to turn that knob to get in. He's got to push a door to get out. So he might have went through the back, left the back door open, but he still obviously came out the front. He came out of somewhere. So you all should be swapping door handles, the glass sliding doors, inside, outside. Anything in her room. And you really haven't given us any information to what was inside. And I believe there was blood inside, because you can't really get blood outside without there being blood inside. So that's what led Mr. Nanos to call the homicide squad, because you saw something inside that led you to believe a crime was committed inside. So I always tell people, pay attention to the details. Blood was from the inside. The assault happened in there. She's bleeding going out the door. And as someone said, possibly not by foot, carried out. So he either threw her over his shoulder, drugged her out in something, or there was help. We live in a sad world where these things do happen. 84, 64, 44. You don't know people. And it happens. And sadly, a lot of these crimes are close, such as that Nancy Woodrum case. I watched 2020's take on that case. Please check it out. It's in the YouTube queue. A painter she had hired ended up snatching her out of her own damn cottage while a wedding party business was going on. People were on the property. This lets you know he didn't care. Drunk. I'm going back to get a ladder. You know, all that type of stupid foolishness. He was playing mind games with the cops. But he admitted he made a mistake. That's a hell of a way of saying, oops, I killed somebody. But you said you went there deliberately to rape her. So how do you go to somebody's house to sexually assault them and then end up murdering them? Of course she's going to fight back. The average woman would fight back. Then there might be a woman who will say, I'll just play quiet. Maybe he won't hurt me. Everybody's different. But her case was very sad to me. I listened to it the other night, watched it the other night, and it was sad to me that she's trusting these people to work on her house because she was getting ready to sell her ranch. And she's trusting these strange people to go on her property to make it nice looking so she can sell it. And this is the thanks she get by hiring you. You're attracted to older women. And this Nancy Woodrum story is a perfect tale of what some of us are saying pertaining to Nancy Guthrie. For all we know, there was someone attracted to Nancy Guthrie. And they're also saying that the profile is usually someone in their 20s sexually assaulting older women. And I know some of you are finding that very baffling. She would basically be old enough to be his great-grandmother. Okay? Great-grandmother, an 80-year-old woman. But that is the thing about a vice. The mind can tell you some salacious things. Oh, I like her. I know she's old. She's old enough to be my great-grandmother, but I'm attracted to older women. And then you have another side of you that's a bit deviant. You want to take the cookie. So you being attracted to the elderly woman, some will say is sick, to each his own. But the fact that you want to sexually assault her, that's a whole different ballgame. Some will say, why not just flirt with her? You're attracted to older women, then just flirt, put your bid in. You don't have to sexually assault her. But that's because the person is sick, you see. So it really wouldn't matter if he liked tall women, short women, black women, Hispanic, whatever the race, height. He wants to take the cookie. And that's where the problem lies. He doesn't want someone that's going to consent to sex. He wants to see the fear, smell the fear, and God forbid, unalive her. And that may be the case here with Nancy Guthrie, that we're looking at a deviant sadist, someone who has committed sexual assaults before, violence before. They have assaults on their record. They've been accused of assault, arrested for assault. That's who the police needs to be looking for. A violent offender who likes to burglarize, steal, take the cookie, possibly also a drug user. A lot of people are on drugs now. And of course, we hear all the time, oh, drugs make you do crazy things. And I don't consider taking the cookie a crazy thing. To me, that's a sick thing. You were thinking about taking the cookie if you weren't using drugs. So don't use drugs as an excuse to want to be a rapist, okay? Come on. But you've heard this before, haven't you? Oh, he was under the influence. He would have never done that if he wasn't on the drugs. So I'm telling you, you're looking for a dope fiend. I put my money on it. The perpetrator uses narcotics. He's a thief, and he is also a sadist. You're looking for a triple threat. Sadist, a thief, and a doper. Go back to the video. Eyes wide, red, bloodshot red. He had gotten high before getting to Nancy's house. Planned it, but not effectively, but he did get away. So the mumbling outside, bumbling with the branches, that's the part that wasn't planned. But he possibly has knowledge of this woman's domain. He's been there before. And as most of you have said, he appeared comfortable. And that's the scary part. You've seen this in real time. This person at someone's Nest camera, playing around like he's tapping on it, then grabbing weeds. And you're thinking to yourself, is this real? Because every time I think about this case, there's some days I wake up going to the television, hoping I have just been dreaming for weeks this case, that everything I've heard was not real, because it's hard to fathom day for day for day, no arrests, day for day retractions from the sheriff, not knowing what's real, listening to the people talk about, Tucson as if it's some picturesque town in a storybook. I think a lot of the people, their minds are diluted. They live in a bubble. And this is the reason why it's easy for offenders to offend. And this is something a lot of you need to understand. This is what they're looking for. This type of mentality that you're hearing from some of the people who live in Tucson. And it's not just Tucson. It's here, Knoxville, New York, Idaho. You're walking around living like you're in a bubble. You think you live in Mayberry. Oh yeah, I'll just leave the car running in the driveway with the keys in it and the windows down. Nobody will take my car. I'll leave my purse in the car with the windows down. Nobody steals in this neighborhood. We don't have robberies here. We don't have rapists here. What the hell are you saying? You act like these people don't have cars. They have motorcycles, scooters, 2 feet, and they drive. And FYI, they can move around to look for a victim. That's what they do. Some work their own neighborhoods, and then some walk, drive, even catch the bus and the train to go rob, steal, sexually assault people. And I think a lot of people they can't comprehend that. You think because you live in some fine neighborhood that somebody wouldn't take the B train and walk a couple blocks over and kick your fucking door in. Yeah, he would. And they have done so. I heard about that a few years ago. Guy riding the train out to the suburbs of Atlanta to do just that, to rob. And then walk on back to the train station, hop on the little mart or whatever, and go on back into the city with your fine goods in his duffel bag. You got to stop assuming it ain't going to be you. And this is what people need to understand. You are nobody to these creeps. You are just a number. You are nobody special. He doesn't care about your looks. He doesn't care about nothing but getting what he can get from you, whether it be your body, your money, your car, your valuables, and even your life. So you've got to stop thinking nothing bad can happen to you, because that's the attitude I get from people who have been interviewed since this woman went missing. That's all I've heard. We don't like lights. We don't want light pollution. We have a beautiful sky. We like to walk the dog and jog at night. Foolishness. Who the fuck jogs in midnight in darkness? You can't even see. You can't even see what's in front of you. You're jogging where? I'm just saying. Oh, nothing bad ever happens here. Oh, we used to leave our doors unlocked. We used to leave our doors unlocked. Are you still leaving your doors unlocked? Because I know there's somebody in Tucson that's still leaving the door unlocked. There's somebody watching this story that's still cracking the door for the dog to go out and do his thing. You know who you are because you're probably listening to this live stream. You're that person. I'm guilty too. I live in a secure building, but I still tiptoe to the trash chute and don't lock the door. Because I've gotten a little familiar with the people, coming and going. I know whose door is whose, you know what I'm saying. But that still doesn't mean they couldn't be in somebody else's apartment and hear my door open and watch me walk out through their peephole and realize she didn't lock her door, and they just slide on in there when my back's turned. That's why when I open the door, when I come out to go to the trash chute, very lightly, and I never slam the door. I let it glide to where you can't hear that I'm even in the hallway. But it's not to say somebody couldn't be in the old lady's apartment across the hall peeping out. You understand? And that's what the perpetrator is looking for. Yes, no perspective. We all get careless at times. And some of us are just careless individuals. And some of us may get offended if somebody would even call us out. And I'm sure there are people who have been told by friends and family, hey, you can't keep doing this. Hey, you can't keep doing this. You're acting like you're a child. But what happens is we become comfortable. We become comfortable because nothing bad has happened. So what we say to ourselves, I can leave the door unlocked for just a little while. I can leave the garage door up for half of a day. But no, you can't. That's what the perpetrator is looking for. That one opportunity where the garage door is up. You're letting the garage air out. You're getting ready to have a garage sale. Somebody's coming to pick up a bedpost. Whatever your reason. That's what he, she, they are looking for. Oops, the door's open. The gate's open. Can I use your phone? My car broke down. Mind if I come in? Hell yeah, I mind. You're not coming in here. Opening doors without looking out. Most houses may not even have peepholes. So you either have a window to look out of or glass windows beside the door. Look out. It's your house. You don't have to open the door. That's why it's good to have those cameras. You could be in the bedroom, the bathroom, somebody's knocking, and you can answer from that screen. Yes, may I help you? Yeah, I'm looking for PD Joe. And all you got to do is say, Petey Joe don't live here. Have a nice day. They get the point. It's the tone. You cut it off before they can even come up with something else to ask. You don't even let another word come out of their mouth. Soon as you tell them they have the wrong house, you let them know, have a nice day. That means get your ass off my porch. Now, they still want to stand there in front of that camera? You let them know, sir, get off my porch. I got one finger on the dial and one on the trigger. Which one? Get the ass out. This is why you need an alarm, because naturally you're going to go away from your house, you're going to travel, and you have to go to bed. And the camera has no value if there's no alarm. And I think a lot of you are depending on the Nest camera to save you. The Nest camera is for after the fact if you're actually alive. Police can investigate the camera with the subscription, of course. But a dead man tells no tales. So you don't have a subscription, you don't have an alarm, you're ripe for the taking. Because you do have people who are willing to push the damn door open by all means necessary. Push the window open. There are just some people who are adamant. And I always say, when you have a person that is this adamant to get in your house, they must know what the fuck's in there. Keep getting your house burglarized. Why? This is when you have to step up the game and say, I got to get some money to get an alarm on this house. Nobody should be getting their house burglarized more than one time. That means you got to start assessing. Why me? Is it because I don't have an alarm system? I don't have cameras? Who am I talking to? Who am I telling things to? My children, their friends, associates, family members. You want to stay ahead of the game. Now, we've learned about cutting wires, so there can't be any type of calling 911. That's a messed up situation there. I don't really know how to answer that. But everything now is, Wi-Fi, this and that, but you still have some wiring to your house. And we have people who are just adamant they want to get in. But I can honestly say, when it's to the point that we're cutting wires, I think it's not about a burglary. It's not about a burglary. They want you. And then that's the scary part of the story, when it's not about a burglary. It's not about stealing, subwoofers and Bluetooths and DVD players and things like that. They want life. That's a whole nother ballgame. And to me, that's what this story appears to me. I could be wrong. I think this person wanted Nancy Guthrie. And I think a lot of people would say with the Queen, that's some heavy SHIT. Why would somebody want to unalive an 84-year-old? Well, I'll say this to you. Have you heard of 84-year-olds being unalived? Of course. They'll unalive you at any age. And that's what you need to understand about a deviant mind. You're looking at it as her age means something. The age does not mean anything to someone who doesn't care. He or she don't care about anything. They don't have any problem with punching an 84-year-old in the face, knocking an 84-year-old down, strangling an 84-year-old, cutting up an elderly person. Stay woke. Because when you can get out of that mindset of the why, when you can get out of the mindset, oh, she's elderly, you will come to understand what we're dealing with here. They don't care. People kill children, people kill teenagers, people kill 20-year-olds, and they kill 80-year-olds. Checkmate. There's no empathy. Knock off an infant, knock off a 90-year-old. What's the difference? To him or her, it ain't. That's why I'm trying to tell you, it ain't about what was in Nancy's house. That's my feeling. They wanted her gone. They knew exactly what they were going to do. The time they chose, very important. You chose the time when people are sleeping or asleep, especially an elderly person. You probably knew she was going to go to church. So she did. You possibly knew there was no alarm. You knew there was no alarm because once you stepped on the front porch, there's no ding, 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 ding. You're touching and messing with doors. No ding, 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 ding. So no sound. She ain't got no alarm. Come on with it, Queen. And especially if you've been there before or you really know the lady, you already know. And you can be comfortable when you know. You also comfortable when you're a deviant. You don't have nothing in here. Mush, cotton. You're a stuffed doll. You don't give a fuck. If a child comes running around the corner, he would knock her out. Do you see where I'm going? Had the gun in the front. So he was telling you the story if you're paying attention. That's why I was saying ain't nobody really listening. He was telling you the story. It was by the grace of God we got that much that tells the story. I don't give a fuck. I'm taking this lady by all means necessary. Pay attention. I got a full backpack. I got a gun. You got blood on the front stoop. Why are you confused? How are you confused? How can you be confused? He told you the story. Dead of night, masked up, gloved up, gun, messing with cameras. I'm inside. I hit the lady, do God knows what else to her, carry her out, she's still missing. How are you confused? Why did I do it? Because I could. Will I do it again? Hell yeah. Have I done it before? Maybe. You just got to find out. And that's scary as hell too. If we're talking about a deviant that has done this before. So this is why Tucson, FBI, sheriff, y'all got to get on your game and you got to go in those databases. As a matter of fact, you might want to stretch on out outside of Arizona because we've learned that people with past, they pack up and move. And we've seen this a lot of times with murderers. They leave the premises and they go to another state. So for all we know, Mr. Kidnapper ain't from Tucson. Might have only been here a short while. 1 year, 2 years, 6 months. You got to go now look at Arizona, outside of Arizona, Nevada, California, Oregon, hell, maybe even the Midwest. You got to now go look at other situations of someone kidnapped, burglarized, didn't make it, missing. The MO might be somewhere else in the United States. Because what did I tell you? If you can get over there with a car and take her out of there, you possibly came to Arizona, by a car, by a train, by a bus. This person may be getting around. So while everybody thinks the person is from Tucson that committed this offense, what you have to ask yourself, are you talking about someone born and raised in Tucson? Or they just happen to be living in Tucson, but they're not from there. This might be a new cat, but he knows the area. And if you're a deviant and you're going to work outside where you sleep, meaning you're going to do your dirt somewhere else, you're going to learn the area. You're going to go where you think you're not going to get caught. And we've learned that with many offenders. They work other areas as not to get apprehended. Now, some offenders, they work their area because they feel like they can glide on in and have a reason to be lurking about. Get pulled over by the cop. Hey, what you doing? Oh, just taking a stroll. Where you live? Oh, I'm just a block over. See, everyone's motivation is different. Apparatus is different. We got those that scale buildings, balconies. I think back to a case in Pennsylvania many moons ago. Women were being assaulted, and I believe that was Philadelphia. And he was making his way up the porches, and nobody could understand how he was getting in. Well, long story short, he was in the military. And when it got too hot and he felt like law enforcement was closing in on him, he moved. He moved out west to start the game all over again, where he got caught. And that's my point. Some of them are crafty. Some of them will pack up and move if they think law enforcement is on their tail. And that's something that you have not heard in many podcasts or news stories. If the person is actually from Tucson, if the person is even from America, because if he's Hispanic, he may be from the Honduras, he may be from Mexico, he may be from South America, may be from anywhere. Has he gone somewhere else to live so he doesn't get caught? Has he gone underground? See, there are lots of questions. Because one, we don't even know who this person is. For all we know, the person that kidnapped Nancy, he's somewhere in Wisconsin now. Florida, anywhere. Got a lot of states. And that's going to be the most detrimental part of the story. He's bucked up and got the hell on. So now he's roaming new territory, looking for fresh meat. Excuse the analogy. So if you're living anywhere outside of Arizona, the game is the same. You've got to be aware of your faculties. You got to be aware of walking in the dark, leaving doors, cars unlocked, giving out personal information. And I don't mind using an alias when I do business with people, such as when I go get my hair cut. You have my phone number. You've got the card I've used. But you don't have my real name. I don't use my real name, even when going to get a haircut. Because you know they have a thing of calling your name out. Hey, Angela, I'm ready. But then they might want to call your whole government name out. See, you never know. And there are lots of places you go, they call your government name out, such as DMV, places like that. See, you never know who you're around and who's watching. And I know a lot of you may think it's paranoia. It's not paranoia, it's called common sense. I don't know who these people are that I'm around. And you should know that when somebody calls out your government damn name, all somebody got to do is go try to Google You go get your car worked on at the mechanics. What's in your glove box? I'll wait. Personal shit that shouldn't be in there. God forbid you've got your driver license, because some of you don't like carrying your damn driver license in your pocket or your purse or your wallet. You put it in the damn glove box or your console. Stop doing that. Your registration to your car, you've got it in the glove box because that's where you're supposed to have it. Then some of you are crazy enough to put your damn title in there. Don't do that. Put your registration in there. Somebody breaks in your car, they now know where you stay. So besides now, I've just broke into a nice BMW. I got the address to this nice BMW. I know where the owner lives. Now, what if I decide I want to play some funny games? The reason why I tell women, stop carrying all your personal papers in your purse. For what? You know who you owe. You owe AT&T, you owe the mortgage company, you owe your landlord, you owe for Xfinity. Duh. Most people don't even get paper bills anymore. But some of you just have to keep the paper in your purse. Stop doing that. Some documents, such as medical stuff, might have social security numbers, in case they're sending you a bill and everything. They'll have your social security number on those things. That's why you don't need to have it in your pocketbook, in your car, in your trunk, and you don't need to have it lying around at your house. I don't care that it's your house. So what? People don't need to know your damn business. You're leaving out your statements or your credit cards, loans, things like that. Now you're telling people what you got, who you owe. I know it sounds like, well, it's my house, I can do what I want. Yeah, well, if you keep company, you have guests, people are nosy. All your business papers should be put up. We live in a paperless society now, so really, you shouldn't be getting any bills from anybody. Everything's now through Gmail. And you let people know, don't send me no paper. You can call me, you can send me a text, you can send me an email. But don't send me shit on paper. That cuts down your mail, helps with our lovely trees, and it also keeps the nosy rosies out your business. Please lock your doors. You have a pet, get your lazy butt up and walk your dog. Walk your dog. Do not crack doors to let your dog out. You think somebody's not watching that? How many times the dog comes out alone? You assume everybody in the neighborhood, they're good people. I know my neighbors. Do you know your neighbors? Do you know how many children have wandered into houses of pedophiles who ended up being murderers? You still want to say you know your neighbors? Walk your dog. Get you some mace. If you don't want to carry a weapon, can't carry a weapon. But walk your dogs. Stop letting your dogs out. Stop letting your damn cats out. Stop doing that. You raise the window, let it be up for a little while, and you put it down before you leave the house and or go to sleep. And I know some of these things you might forget, especially a window, because it's easy to forget about a window being up. You might decide to go run an errand, go take a jog. That window needs to be closed before you leave your house, your apartment. Because as I said, perpetrators can scale porches and balconies. Don't give a person a reason to come into your house. Now, the flip side, somebody just got it in for you. All I can tell you, you need to get a weapon and pray to Jesus. Because if somebody has it in for you, they're going to get you one way or the other. And this is not to be crass. It's just the truth. So you have to pray for your safety. And this is where God comes in. You got to pray to God that every day he will watch over you and keep you safe on your journey while you sleep. when you're at work, when you're at play, when you're out of town. Because we have some deviant people who don't wish you well. And as I said, I don't know who took this woman out of her home, Mrs. Guthrie, why, but in the end, it doesn't matter. She's not here. He didn't care. That's why he did it. And it'll be no different if it's you or me. Whatever their reasons are, it's not going to matter to them. And they don't care if you're worried about the reason. Because, as I said, he or she did it because they could. They don't need your permission to harm you. That's the type of world we are living in. I don't need your permission to bust you in the head, bust you in the mouth, rob you, kidnap you, unalive you, sexually assault you. I did it because I could. And I'll do it again so long as I'm not apprehended. So don't give these jokers a reason to choose you. We have got to start being more careful how we navigate, how we move about in our peripheral. What we tell people about ourselves, where we work. Nobody needs to know where you work. Strangers. They don't need to know. Oh yeah, I'm a nurse. What question do you think comes after that? Well, which hospital do you work in? Like I have a habit sometimes in lightweight talking, I'll say, I live up the street. I don't live too far, but I don't give the exact location. Because as I said, I don't know who I'm talking to. Just because I laugh with you at Walmart, laugh at you at the package store or whatever, that don't mean I know you. That don't mean you want to go tell somebody where to find me. Although you got to bust through glass to get in where I'm at. But we've got people who might open the door for a perpetrator. And that's the one thing I always fear living in this place. Is that I'll be walking in and somebody's going to come run behind like they do. Can you hold the door, please? And I don't know if they live here or not. You understand what I'm saying? Because we have a lot of traffic in this place because we have all these people bringing deliveries. That's food, FedEx, all that. So you don't even know who you're opening the door for, holding the door for. And naturally, you're not supposed to be doing that. But we as people, we do. But see, could be that one time you open the door for somebody thinking they're bringing in McDonald's, a guy, and then you go in the elevator and he gets in there with you. And then you push your apartment number, floor, and then he don't push nothing. And then you get out, he get out. But let me tell you what Queen can do, because I've done it recently. Somebody came up the elevator the other day, might have been yesterday. Now I don't care for this little joker. He lives down the hall, so I know he's got to pass me at some point, but he's walking behind me. Let me tell you what Queen did. Queen just stopped right before she got to where her door was to let him know, you walk on around me. You walk around me. Because I don't trust nothing behind me. So I just stopped and moved over to the wall. Because I had a lot of, things in my hand. Stepped over. You get on by where you going, bro. I also sometimes listen to movement in the hall before I open the door. And I'll tell you that, you need to be a better listener. It can save your life. Always listen. Even if you live in a house, a condo, look outside the window before you open the door. And I know sometimes you're in a hurry, you're rushing, you're like, hey, I ain't got time for that, queen. I gotta go. I gotta get out of here. Okay. But somebody outside, he got all the time in the world, if you understand what I'm saying. So look outside, look through the blinds, look through the shutters, and preferably do it with the lights off. Don't look out with the lights on, because if somebody's watching, they can see you looking out. So always look out blinds and curtains with the lights off. Look out your peephole, because you just don't know. People watch, they listen, they stand on sides of walls, around corners. And that's the one thing for where Nancy Guthrie lives. All that brush and cactuses and trees and stuff. When it's dark 30, you can't see nothing. Her porch is dark. You step up onto that, you know what I'm saying? You don't know where a person could be standing, lurking, and they could be right there in plain sight, and you don't even see that they're there. And I think about that every time I see pictures of her house in the general area. It's creepy to me. Very creepy. Now, the information about the other people in the yard, I'm going to say this and I'm going to check out of here. The thumbnails of these people, who are they? Are they family members, friends, associates, people she hired, people went there to do work? How many days was it before they were at her home in the backyard? What were they doing? What time of day was it? Was it nighttime? Now, if it's dark 30, such as 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock, and they've got some people in her yard at that time, you already know it was some funny business and they were there scoping things out. If it was daytime, could be people known to Nancy, such as friends, associates. But FBI, you haven't told us any damn thing, which makes no damn sense. Don't give us the goods and only give us partial. Tell us the time of day of the thumbnails. Give us a description of the people: short, tall, fat, white, black, Hispanic, looks like her friends, are her friends, or if they're workers. Because now we're sitting here wondering who the hell these people are and what time of day it was. Will this crime get solved? I hope so. Because as I said before, and I've said in this live stream, this person is walking around free. And depending on the temperament of this fool, which we already know, he don't give a fuck about nothing, he will surely do it again. Because he's gotten away. And know that he is watching everything we're saying, such as what Queen is saying. He's watching everything that the news people are saying, retired FBI, law officials. He's upset, he's laughing, he's got a lot of emotions going on. Oh, they're calling me dumb. They're calling me this. They're calling me that. I didn't plan it. Well, I'm free. Catch me if you can. Oh, he's laughing. He's laughing. He's pissed. He's angry. Because nobody likes to be talked about, even though we know we have committed an atrocious act. And that's where the danger lies. Every time we make a live stream, give commentary about this fool, he is watching, he is listening. God forbid he has other people involved. They're sitting around waiting for the next mark and how to do it better. And you see, what we're doing here live may be provoking this monster to go out and do it again. Because he's had enough time to rest and contemplate. How can I get away with it next time? Who will I choose next time? Where will I go next time? And now that he knows that he made a mistake by taking the body, he's going to say to himself, oh, I won't take her next time. I'm going to leave her, since they say I'm taking evidence with me. Stay woke. If you see something, say something. Be a part of the solution and not the problem. Mind the children. Thank you for your time. Thank you for following me here and also on the Newsbreak app. Excuse me. Like, share, subscribe. Drop your comments below. Take the polls on my community page. Might come back a little bit later, and we're going to talk about some hypothetical situations. Thank you so much for supporting this network. Thank you for those who follow me on Google. 3 million plus views on my content on Google. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Google. Almost 2,000 followers on Newsbreak. I'm getting a lot of likes and commentary as I sit here in the live. All I'm doing is looking at my screen, showing me the notifications of the people who are liking the videos that I have posted over there. They are the same. As of late, I've been posting the same content from YouTube to Newsbreak, but they get to come over here and they can see me live, which they can't see me over there doing that because we don't have the option to go live. So all our content is uploaded in short videos over on the Newsbreak app. But thank you. Follow me on IG, big.sexy.71 if you want to contact me about content on this network. If you want to donate to this great network, $ Big Angie 129 Cash App. Stickers and chats are always welcomed in the live stream. Prayers for the Guthrie family. Prayers that there will be a resolution to this case. The persons apprehended and they get the maximum allowed by Arizona law. And also let's pray that this person does not offend anyone else out here. And I also pray that this person does not have any children, because I don't think a lot of times we think about the perpetrator as really being an us. But he and they are us. They're two-legged creatures walking around. They have friends, they have family, they have associates, and that is something many of you need to think about. This person works, has a job, may have children, may be married, may be in a relationship, might be straight, gay, bisexual, and they're perpetrating. They're pretending to be decent and they're not. But as I said, you can hit an 84-year-old in the face, you ain't decent. And you've done it before. You've hit somebody else before. And that's what you always need to remember. You are looking at a very violent individual that has no care about popping off. So they'll be the 84-year-old, 34-year-old, they'll be the kid. And somebody knows this person. Somebody is looking this thing in the eye and refusing to call the FBI. Why? I do not know. But honey, you need to go get that 1.2 million and run like hell. Never look back. Never look back. And as I said, it shouldn't be about the money. Let me make that clear. You should want to do the right thing, because this could be your mother, grandmother, great-grandmother. Do the right thing. But there is a reward, and you need to fucking claim it and get this monster off the street. Take the polls on my community page. The next live stream, I think we're going to go into the belly of the beast. We're going to talk about homosexuality. We're going to talk about gay pastors, going to churches with gay pastors, your pastor coming out gay. I put up a short earlier. Weigh in. Would you go to a church willingly knowing your pastor, the pastor of the church, is gay? Priest, rabbi? Your pastor comes out gay. Do you stay? Do you go? Do you say something during service when he announces that he's gay? Do you jump up and start hollering, going off? What do you do? Or do you say, come on, baby, we out of here. We going to some other church where the pastor's straight. So we hope. What do you do? Thank you, perspective. Thank you, sweetheart. I want to talk about that, because I'm seeing more and more content pertaining to African American men that are in the church, and they are perpetrating and they're living lies, and they're misleading people, women, children, parishioners, pretending that they are straight men and they are not. And they're playing with God mostly. Because in the end, that's who he has to stand account to, not Queen. So we'll talk about that later. Thank you all for joining me. You all have a wonderful night. I got to get me some din in me. Thank you for the love. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Once again, prayers for Nancy Guthrie and justice for her. You've been listening to the Vault Excel. Thank you so much. Bye, guys. Thank you. Once again, movie of the week, Slow Burn. Ray Liotta, God rest his soul, fine actor. He is starring in this movie. It is an awesome movie. It came out in 2005. So every now and again, I'll bring you a throwback from the past. You will thoroughly enjoy it. And when you watch it, anybody who's watched my network for a little while, you'll hear a certain line at the end of the movie, and you'll say, I've heard Queen say that on her channel, and I love it because it's the truth. You'll know it when you hear it. And it's possibly even pertaining to this case here. You don't know people. You really don't know people. Thank you for your time.